I think we would like, at least in DAD and the Teaching and Learning Center, we would like to thank you for participating in this workshop. We would like to thank our Learning Technology Center because they are the centers behind this, okay? And some of your faculty members who were using a version which was not full-fledged, they are the ones who were after having, now you have a full-fledged version of Gradescope. With this, I don't think I need to speak much, and the floor is yours, Wasfu. Thank you.
جزاكم الله خير. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. First of all, I'd like to apologize for this delay, and I take this opportunity to complain about the new laptops that, not maybe the new laptops, but these monitors, for some reason, they don't, connect nicely to through HDMI. This happens for the second or third time. I complained, nothing until now. Nothing happened, and that was in the beginning of summer, But anyways, so let's go back to our Gradescope. Now, basically, I will talk about Gradescope, and hopefully I'll try to show a whole cycle of how do we use Gradescope from the time you actually prepare your quiz or exam or assignment until the end. طيب. So basically, when we do grading, when we usually grade, especially exams, what would we like to do? Most of the time, what do we wish? What do we hope that we will achieve? Or what do we hope that we do not do, for example?
Be consistent.
Consistent.
Be consistent.
Be consistent, صح? Anything else?
Repeating things over and over again, unnecessary.
Repeating things over and over again, that's very good. So basically, if you see the same mistake again and again, you have to basically rewrite the whole thing when you are doing it on paper. Well, from my perspective, one thing that we would like to do is we would like to be efficient or fast. And in fact, in last summer, last spring, the final exam of one of my courses, the Discrete Structures 1 course, was scheduled as the last exam at night. And there was only a period of 3 days to finish grading. And we had more than, I forgot now the number of students, but it's basically more than maybe 200. We had to resort to a multiple choice final exam, which is really not, the best. In summer, I was teaching the ICS 104, and we had 300 plus students, 300 about who continued with us, 340 something. And the final exam was actually Wednesday morning, and we were supposed to submit the grades on Sunday. But alhamdulillah, we had 2 programming questions in the final exam. We started grading maybe after Asr on Wednesday, and by Maghrib, and the delay was because of me, by Maghrib on Thursday, we were able to finish the grading. And not only that, but we submitted we published the answers and the grades to the students, and we gave them until 4 p.m. next day, Friday, to ask for a regrade. And I think this is one of the most important features of Gradescope. In my opinion, this ability to regrade actually participates in the student's understanding. Because basically in the regrade, the student tries to, mine as many points as he can. Like, how does he do that? Well, we will see, for example, that he will look at the rubrics and he will start to try to, see, well, why didn't this work? Why didn't that work? And he will go back to his answer. Of course, these are the serious ones. We will have also not that serious students, but we can talk about that later. So these are some of the really important features of Gradescope that I really like about it. So be fair to all students. We will see, maybe it's not 100% as we will see, but it is actually fair enough. Give feedback to students. This is the most important feature. Easily correct grading mistakes, and maybe I will show some examples. Finally, keep documentation. It's very easy once you have these tests or these papers. Once you have them in Gradescope, it's a matter of a click, to get the the best, the average, and the worst. The documentations that are usually required from us for the course file or for NCAA or ABIT or what have you. So these are some of the things that can be done through Gradescope, and there is a big, and more. Maybe Dr. Wajih, inshallah, will have his advanced workshop or seminar on Gradescope. And I'm hoping also Dr. Muhammad Amr will also give a workshop on how to use Gradescope in grading programming assignments. In fact, it's an auto-grader in that sense. So here we're not talking really about auto-grading. It's still, you have to grade, but it also does have that feature. Okay, so what is Gradescope? Gradescope is a web-based tool to streamline and standardize paper-based digital and programming assignments. And this is one of the also very nice things about Gradescope. Because I had to connect my laptop through Wi-Fi, to show it on the screen, it messed up my Dropbox and OneDrive data that is on another drive. It used to be D, it took D, it reserved D, I did restart, and it never, gave away D back. So Gradescope is not, a software that you install, and then if something goes wrong, you cannot. It's a web-based tool. You can use it on your machine. Now I moved on to the Podium's machine, and you will see that I will use it on that machine. So this is one of the nice things about Gradescope. And in this workshop, as I said, we will only consider paper-based assignments and exams. Gradescope is not, a general learning management system. It's not Blackboard. However, thankfully, KFUPM acquired a full license, and Gradescope actually is integrated now with Blackboard, so we can seamlessly use it in our courses. You don't have to have two platforms, especially for the students. Okay, so what are the changes and or requirements that need to be considered when holding an exam or a quiz? We are usually used to, whenever we use, for example, a new software, a new thing, that we need to adapt our ways in order to make it work. What are the changes that we need to do to our exams in order to make Gradescope work? Well, the nice and lovely answer is actually it has no effect whatsoever on the way the exam is offered on paper. It has no effect whatsoever on the type of questions that you can prepare. So you will not change anything as far as your style of putting questions or setting up exams and assignments. The only good thing that it changed was actually an environmental change. Can anybody guess what do I mean by that?
Less paper?
Less paper? Well, I'm still giving papers to the students to answer. We're not using the Gradescope as a exam tool, huh?
Yeah.
Since I use the Gradescope, all my exams are double-sided. I'm using less paper, and if I put the intention of saving trees, I might even get hasanat, just because of doing that. And there's a good reason for it. Inshallah, I will talk about it. So that's the only change that I had. So now all my exams are double-sided. I don't give exams on single single pages. Now, other than that, changes start to pop up from the time the student finishes his exam, quiz, or assignment. From now on, this is what I would like to do, is to go through this journey of showing you what do we do in order to upload things to Gradescope and then later on use it. Okay. So who uploads the quiz, exam, or assignment to Gradescope? Well, actually, Gradescope provides two modes, instructor and student. So the instructor can upload the exams or assignments, and the student also can upload the exams and the students. Now, what is the best practice for using which mode? Well, it depends on what is the task. So if we are talking about, for example, group activities or homework assignments, well, the best thing is it is basically students. Students should upload these their work, especially group activities. Now, the format is usually template free. For example, for the assignment. Usually in our assignments, we do not specify, we just put the questions, right? We do not say, this question has, half a page or 2 pages or this and that. So in Gradescope, assignments can be, basically template free. You basically just put the questions, and later on, the student, when he uploads the work, he will map each question to the answers, and the mapping is very simple and it's very straightforward. Okay, so this is one form, which is the template free, and of course the advantage of this form is that as an instructor I do not have to do anything. In fact, in 211, when I taught ICS 254, these are, by the way, the exam papers of the final exam papers of the students, and during that final exam, I actually asked them to upload. Okay, I asked them to upload the final exam. Of course, after they finished.
What do you mean by upload it? They scan it and upload it, or?
Using their mobiles.
Okay.
Using their mobiles. I'll talk about it. Okay. Would I do it now? No. Because I found a better way of doing it. I will be doing it, but it will be much better. I will be doing it, but it will be much better. طيب, what is the second mode? The second mode is instructors. And basically, it is really recommended that your quizzes, exams are basically uploaded by the instructor. You can ask the students to upload them, especially for example quizzes. The problem is they will take from the time of the class. Okay, so it's better and more time efficient for you to take them and do the scanning. Now, the format is basically a fixed template. And this is why I started, using the double-sided, because I don't want the student to have the liberty to write wherever he wants as far as answering the questions. Although it is fine. I mean, it doesn't mean that Gradescope will crash if that happens. But it's easier for us as graders, and we will see that it will be much easier if we put it like fixed. And if we are in doubt, we can also increase the space that is allocated for a certain question. But the students should abide by the fixed template. So basically, instructors need to ensure that enough space exists exists for the answer. Now, what are the advantages of this? Well, basically, avoid possible mistakes, that students do while uploading, especially, if they did not, if the quality of the pictures was not that good, there is always that possibility. So you avoid that. Does not consume any time from the class, and although this is a very slim possibility, basically no fear for online cheating if somebody tries to switch PDF files. This is kind of unlikely, but if we have that fear,
there's some locations
to avoid that fear, we can basically do that. Okay. So, what do we need as far as the student uploaded tasks? What do we need as far as preparation is concerned? Well, if the student is uploading it, actually we don't need to do anything. We just need to inform the students how do they use basically Gradescope when they upload the assignment and map the questions to the to their answers. And again, it is very easy. Now, for instructor uploaded tasks, you need to prepare for a good way for the student to write his name and ID. Now, Gradescope does provide for automatically recognizing student names and IDs. And this is actually a great help. So you don't have to do this kind of fully manually. And I have actually tried different formats I will share with you, and I will give you a recommendation that I have never tried before, but I will tell you why. Maybe I will try that inshallah later. So basically, no need for sections, since this information can be stored already in Gradescope. You just need the username, the student name, and the ID. Inshallah, we'll see hopefully how we can do that live. Right. So basically, we would like Gradescope to automatically recognize and properly assign to the correct student as many as we can. And when the students write their names, legibly, I sometimes got more than 80%, automatically assigned papers to students, and I just needed to work with the 20%, at most 20%. That was not the case in our last ICS 104 final exam. out of 340 plus, maybe only 20 were, assigned. I had to do that manually for the rest. But how much did it take me? I don't think that it took me more than 1.5 hours for the 200 plus. And I will show you inshallah how. Right, so I have played with different forms on how do we ask the students to put their names and IDs, okay? The first few forms that I have used, first one is basically you put just name and ID. And the problem is with this, when you don't have anything, it will be kind of tricky when you choose because Gradescope will ask you, where is the name, where is the ID. So this is the first thing that I tried. Then it came to my mind that, well, maybe it does better in recognizing digits. So I put the 9 digits of the student ID in boxes so that you put one in each. But again, I thought, if I did that, I will get 100%, but it didn't happen, okay? And I thought maybe because of their automatic recognition, maybe these lines, additional lines might, degrade the performance. So the last thing that I did was I tried to reduce, these lines to make them kind of dots. But again, for the last one, this is the one that I now have been using, and it was usually giving me good recognition rate.
Can
Yes.
I ask, why don't you just write like, this digital 8, and just with very light gray, and then just the student trace their number on this gray 8, or this digital.
Yes, yes.
I think this will you will get maybe 100%.
Well, I'll definitely think about it.
I can
Jazakumullah
help
khair,
you.
yani. I'll definitely think about it. Now, what I thought in the end, which I didn't try until now, is actually doing this. Is just put a box around the name and just put a box around the ID, and maybe we will get better results. Maybe in the next workshop next semester, maybe I will report on how good is this. Okay. But this is what I'm planning to do, inshallah, later.
Do you find, let's say, a difference between the recognition when you have a large number of students or smaller number of students?
Usually, smaller number of students is better recognition, yes. Especially,
This is my experience.
yeah, especially if you have a large number of students, you might also have repeated patterns of names, and it seems that makes it a little bit also harder on the system. Right. Okay. So basically, what happens if I'm the instructor and I would like to upload the task or the papers? So basically, I collect the papers, I scan them, and then I upload the files. Right. So now, how do I? Let me talk about, if I have things like this. If I have an exam which consists of 9 pages, well, in this case it will be 5 because it is front and back, and I would like to upload them to Gradescope. Now, yes?
Just before you go to the
Yes.
practical, do you have any benchmarking with other similar programs, tools? They do the same thing. And why do you select this tool only?
Well, why is total qadar? Dr. Hamad Imam told me about it, and for some reason I thought maybe I should use it. And when I used it, to tell you the truth, I loved it. And that didn't even make me think of looking for anything else. You know, I always say this, it is very hard to impress a computer scientist on a specific software. But to tell you the truth, I was really impressed by Gradescope. And I'm talking personally. So, yeah, so what do we do with these? Now, of course, if you think of, you know, de-stapling and then doing it paper by paper, then inshallah you will spend 2-3 days trying to scan. I don't know, I have more than maybe 100 pages. But there is actually a much faster, actually a much faster way. You just need to use specific hardware. The cutter, what is the cutter?
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Sorry. My apologies.
maybe we can put it here. Yeah. So if you have this, and I think every department has it, right? So all what you need to do is basically remove those staples, you know, by the cutter. You just take, you know, 10, 12 papers, just put it there, cut it, and then go and scan. Now, if you are afraid, you know, papers will come to each other, there are many ways. If you want to print your exam, you know, you can, like Dr. Husni al-Muhtasab, he has actually the name of each student on each paper of the exam. It is, you know, customized. In my case, for example, I tell the students, why don't you initialize each paper? And since it is double-sided, I don't really need him to initialize both sides. He just needs to initialize one side. So if you have 20 pages, he needs to write his initials on 10 pages. I don't think, you know, this is, this can be handled very easy. Okay, this can be handled very, very easy. The second thing is, when we do that, when we cut it, we really don't need to bring it back. You can keep it for, you know, if the student for some reason did not see his paper, or if the scanning was not that good and you want to go back and check the physical paper, well, in that case you might need to keep it, but you will not, you know, return it to the student because everything will be on the system. Okay. طيب, is the scanner working?
No, unfortunately, it required an administrator password, and I don't have it.
Oh, okay. طيب, طيب, since we are not going to scan, do you want me to show you how do we cut? And I wanted to cut them all, you know, but maybe I will save them to the next workshop. Huh? But we cannot, no, even if I cut them, the scanner is not connected. But we need to have a nice scanner. Now we used to have
Cut them, you mean? One paper.
what I mean cut the staples, remove the staples.
The staple.
Yeah.
Ah.
Just cut one paper so we can see that, okay, you are cutting straight or you are cutting in this way.
Right.
We want to see the hands.
Yeah, hand for
Or remove the staple.
So-
Does it,
So I'll take only a few. These are a few. So what I'll do is, oops. Now this is not allowing me to keep it. Okay. So I will just do this. That's it. Fine, this didn't go. I'll remove it. But let's look at this. Now, look at this. This is bad, right? Like, how am I going to scan it? Well, I will not scan it from this side. I will scan it from this side. Okay? I will scan it upside down. And then it's only one click in PDF. It will basically rotate all the pages 180 degrees. Okay? And it's good to not to scan everything in one PDF file. It's better to use, you know, more than one file. The reason is, again, if a student wants to see his paper for some reason, or you want to see that paper, when you put them in batches, you might know which, where is, it's easier to look for that, paper. This is, regarding the scanning. I wish that we can do the scanning, but this scanner is actually very good. I tried it on Thursday, and I set it up on my machine. I set it up on my machine, and it worked perfect. I really liked it. The
So
one
the
in
departments are going to supply scanners?
I wish, well, I hope. And the problem is, for example, in ICS 104 midterm, last midterm, in the summer, I used the department's scanner. Now, the problem with using the department's scanner is that I send the scanned images by email. And we know that email has a limit of like 20 or 25 megabytes when you send them. So I need to, maybe every time the maximum number of pages was maybe 20, because you also need to have good quality, high quality scan. For the 340 students, I generated maybe 34 files, 34 PDF files. Whereas, this type of scanner, you can actually scan with, first of all, it's connected to your machine. There is no worries regarding the storage or the file size. And it automatically gives a name for each file. Because in the department, I have to, each email, I need to put a subject with a different, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to do that every time. This one, the scanner, if it's in your office, it does it for you. And for the final, of course, I didn't go to the department's office. I went to Dr. Muhammad Amar's office. He has, those new scanners that they got for the Mustanad system. And it's just, scans very quickly. And oh, by the way, another problem is it takes a lot of time in processing the department's scanner. I think when after I put the 6th or the 7th batch, it stopped. It was telling me, wait until I finish processing the ones that you have given me. That's.
Did you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just going to comment on what Dr. Russell was saying. I used Gradescope during the summer, and I was scanning using the photocopy machines in the departments. In fact, we did this search, I think, last semester because we wanted to figure out if different departments had photocopy machines that are capable of doing this. And I think, how many did we find? 80 or 90 different photocopy machines in the university that are able, maybe even
Something
more.
in that range.
Almost all photocopy machines now come with a USB input where you just plug in the USB thumb drive, and that should just do the scanning. And honestly, I wouldn't be exaggerating if I said that I had, roughly speaking, 30 students in every section that I was teaching. It was taking me 15 minutes per section, so approximately 30 seconds for scanning. And I was doing, by the way, I was let's say
Unstable.
Okay, yes, okay. Putting it, scanning it, and then I had one of those, electric staples. Put it there, and just put it. It was taking me 30 seconds per.
Yeah, Doctor, بالنسبة للسكانرز in the department, all of them you can connect them through the internet, and from your office, all the files come to your computer. You don't need even to use any.
You mean photocopy machines?
All of them.
Probably.
No, I used them for many years. No, not maybe.
At least the one
3
that
or
I
4
have
years.
have
not
been able
this.
And you can scan like I use like I have many students, maybe hundreds of pages in one shot. You don't need to do it like few, and it is all directly go to my computer. I don't need even to worry. I just put my papers, scan within my name, and then I go to my computer, open the scanner. I get the file there.
And if we have that, then
We have it. All the departments. I don't know.
I didn't know how to use it.
When in physics you have
That's why I'm asking you.
capable or 3 scanners capable of doing this, but you need to ask ITC to connect or the people responsible for these scanners to connect them or to give you access to them online.
Doctor, how reliable these things when it comes to scanning hundreds of pages that are double-sided? Do they skip a page? Do they get jammed?
They might.
Typical scanners will do that.
They might. In all the jobs that I have done, there was one jam. Oh, I just removed it and I put it again. And it will not skip. It doesn't skip. Usually it doesn't skip. I haven't faced it yet. And even if it skips, the student will immediately know that because not the student. I will know that when I'm grading because I will not find that page that was skipped. Okay. Those scanners, by the way, also have very nice feature, which is if there is a blank page, you can suppress it automatically. For example, and I used to do it when I upload activities. Some of the activities, طبعا activity usually it's only on the first page, and some students write on the second page. When I do the scanning, I put that feature that suppress empty pages. So if there is a page which is empty, it will not be part of the PDF file. Yes.
There are scanning programs on iPhone and also Android devices. So I think they scan very nicely and they just
On what?
file.
iPhone.
Oh, on the phone?
Yeah.
Well, these are good for the student. When the student is uploading his work, yes, these are perfect. And even if I want to, sometimes I'm far from a scanner, I will use also. I use Office Lens. Office Lens is great. It does auto correction regarding the rotation of the page. The page is 100%. It's very nice. But if you have things like this, hundreds of pages, it doesn't.
I mean, each student can do it himself, and then he can just send it to you. Then you may look at it. Maybe this may save your time, and maybe a small number of students you may need to do scanning yourself.
Maybe, but it takes time from the class. It takes time from the class. Of course, for the exam, you're fine. It's okay because it's an exam. You can wait half an hour more, until everybody finishes. But yes. Right. So let me then just go over some of the things that I did, in our machine, in our scanner in the ICS department. So basically. I use the subject, and if there is more than one batch, I have to put 1, 2, 3. I'm not that sophisticated to know how to being able to take it to my machine. I wish if I knew that it can take it directly to my computer. It would have saved me a lot of time. And then we have this is the other settings. Now, so usually I will press the email. This will come. I will put my email and the subject. And now these are what I usually do. For example, document file type is PDF. Output quality. It says here medium, but recently I'm putting high. Because you want your scans to be good and legible. I use 300 dpi, usually color. I don't even ask it to do because sometimes students write in different different color pens. Nothing regarding notification. Optimize text picture. I always optimize it for the picture. Okay, double-sided or one-sided. Portrait. Original size A4. Now, if you get the papers from building 21, it is called Officio in this scanner. So you can just choose Officio, and it will save it in that size. And then I will press image adjustment. And when I press image adjustment. This is the optimized text and picture actually. and you can see that I'm putting it all the way to the picture. And then, yeah, this is the image adjustment. So as you can see, I just put it to the darkest, and the contrast to the, to the maximum, background cleanup to the minimum, because I want to keep everything in the page, even the things that he might, erase or whatever. I don't want to do any background cleanup, and of course, sharpness. Now, these are the settings for this scanner. This scanner was actually different. When I wanted to put it, very dark, it was actually having the page actually dark. So it really differs from one scanner to another. You can actually determine that by once you use the scanner once and you know your settings, basically that's it. Right. Okay. So, so as I said, regarding student uploaded tasks, it's recommended, that group activities and assignment are uploaded by students. Even, in group activities, Gradescope allows you to actually put, an activity as a group, and it allows you to put a maximum. Like, for example, if you have 2 or 3, you can just say 3, and then the students, when they upload the activity, they add the names. And it's very, very easy, it's very, very simple. It's much easier than you doing it. Now, usually I would also ask them to write their names on the paper, because sometimes the guy who uploads it, he forgets his friends. So I will notice it. When I see the uploads, I will notice that, for example, there are many singletons. So I just go to that singleton, and I will see if there is, one guy missing, from being acknowledged. I just add him to the assignment. It's very easy. Oh, by the way, this is one advantage also of making the students upload it. Sometimes these activities happen towards the end, and there is not enough time. So I will tell the students, okay, just do it, you have until midnight. So this is kind of an implicit mini or micro homework, right? You're asking the student to solve, do something, and outside class. It's good. Excuse me. Right. Now, for exams and quizzes, especially, let's talk about the exam. This exam, basically, what did I do? And I also did it in another exam. What did I do when I asked the students to upload their finals, their final exam? Well, this is what I tell them. If you finish your answers, you need to stand up and then, start the scan. Because I don't want somebody, still sitting, because you never know whether he's scanning, whether he is using his calculator, if calculators are not allowed, whether he's trying to do something. No. If you finish, I tell them you need to stand up and start, scanning the exam papers. As I said, there are a lot of good mobile scanning apps. There's Office Lens, Cam Scanner, Notes on iPhone. I prefer Office Lens. Now, the students need to generate a single PDF file. It seems that they can use images for homeworks, because I haven't done that. But I usually tell them, PDF file. Just use a single PDF file, and you upload a single PDF file to that to Gradescope. After the submission, students can check their submission, and this is one very important feature of Gradescope that I did not see, for example, in NB Grader. We used a free tool which is called NB Grader, and we have an expert on NB Grader with us here. Students, when they submit, for some reason, they are not able to see what they submitted. And we had that problem that some students will submit an empty file instead of submitting, the right submission. In Gradescope, that does not happen when the student submits. When the student submits, he exactly sees what he submitted. And not only that, after the submission, he also needs to map the answers to the questions. So he knows exactly, what he submitted. That's why when somebody, for example, he tells me, I submitted my homework. He said he submitted his homework on Gradescope, and no, that was on Blackboard. When I went to Blackboard and I looked at his submission, he submitted a different homework. It was homework assignment 3, and he submitted the solutions to assignment 2. This does not happen in Gradescope, because in Gradescope, he has to map the answers to the questions. If he made a wrong submission, he will immediately notice it, and he will, of course, submit again. So again, this is one of the nice things that I have seen regarding Gradescope. And of course, you need to put a deadline for submitting the exam. Like, for example, maybe half an hour after the finish of the exam, because you don't want somebody to go outside and do changes and submit again, because there is an unlimited number of submissions. You can submit as many submissions as you can. However, and I think in Gradescope you can actually see maybe all these submissions. I don't think students will dare to play with the system like this. Okay, so now if I want to create a quiz or an activity, then I need to upload it to Gradescope and set it up for grading. So basically, the way to do that is we basically create an outline of the task, whether it's an assignment or a quiz or an activity. And when we do that, you can create one per question, or you can actually try to grade more than one question at the same time, especially if there are, like, the answers is, for example, numbers, right? You don't want to have one for each one and then you just loop